All right, Rita, if you could just start by giving us that recap. We didn't get the first part of your reporting there.
Well, Betty, I was mentioning that there was some good progress this morning from here at the Court of Appeal. Religious leaders intervened in the dispute over the doctors' pay last week, and this morning they were set to file their report before the Court of Appeal. They did so. They said they had played their part. And in their report, there was some good progress. They got the doctors' union officials as well as the central government and county governments to agree on the issues that were contentious. One of them was the salaries and allowances. On that, the doctors have now agreed to discuss the figures in line with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission harmonized figures. And so what is remaining now, what the parties are not agreeing on, is the implementation of what has been agreed upon. Right now, what remains is for signatures to be appended on the documents that they have agreed upon. One of them, the doctors on their part, want first the recognition agreement to be signed. This only means that the KMPDU, that the county governments will recognize the KMPDU as the true representatives of the doctors, because the doctors, through their lawyers led by Philip Murgor, argue that once beaten, twice shy, and this from their experience, they say, when their last CBA was signed by one Mark Bor, who was a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation, which has now been disowned by the current government, saying that Mark Bor had ceased to be a permanent secretary and that ministry did not exist. So the doctors want this recognition agreement to be signed with the county government, since health is a devolved function, stating that the county governments recognize them. They want, after the signing of the recognition agreement, the CBA, a revised CBA, to be signed. And after the CBA is signed, then a return to work formula can be agreed upon. But on the other hand, the central government and county governments insist that the doctors must first of all call off the strike, then work on a return to work formula, then sign the recognition agreement before signing the CBA. So far, that is where the sort of disagreement is. And before court this morning, the doctors' union officials, their lawyers, saying the ball is back to the governments and the county government's court. They're saying, actually citing that devolution conference there in Naivasha, saying all the governors are gathered there. And so the union officials are ready to go there to have the governors and their county service boards sign this agreement. So the court has given them until Monday to see whether that recognition agreement can be signed with the county governments. What will be happening next week is that the Court of Appeal, the judges here will not be sitting. They will be attending other matters. But the judges presiding over the morning session today, Lady Justice Martha Koome, saying that she will ask the president to constitute a special bench on Monday next week to look into the doctor's strike. So far, Betty, some progress in this dispute. All is remaining is signatures. A recognition agreement, the collective bargaining agreement, and a return to work formula. Whether the parties, the doctors' union officials and the county governments and the central government agree on what should come first is what is remaining for now. Betty.
So that sounds like good progress, like you mentioned. But the bigger question, really, that Kenyans are waiting on is the calling off of the strike. Have you been able to speak to the representatives of the doctors' union, and what are they saying about this particular request to call off the strike first?
Well, they are saying they will not call off the strike until those three issues are implemented in the sequence that they want. That is the signing of the recognition agreement with the county governments, the signing of the revised collective bargaining agreement, and then when they will work on a return to work formula after that. So for now, the strike isn't being called off. When the court sits for a mention on Monday next week, before that special bench that is expected to be constituted by the president, the judges asked the parties to ensure that by then they have a consent, and that way it will move forward in calling off the strike. But everyone in court today, the lawyers speaking, the judges speaking, thanks to the religious leaders for having played a very crucial role. The strike is now in its 93rd day. So far, only 1 week, the entry of the religious leaders in only 1 week, and they have managed to make this good progress. The judge is also asking the religious leaders, even after having played their part up to this point, to continue working with the doctors' union officials and the other parties in this dispute to ensure that the agreements are signed by Monday next week.
Thank you very much, Rita Tinina, for that reporting. Like she mentioned, some good progress there. Finally, the doctors and other parties, including the Council of Governors and the government, really have come out to to sort of like a ceasefire, and they've agreed on some of the issues that were bringing a lot of contention in calling off the doctors' strike. The doctors' strike has not been called off yet, but you know, the doctors want that the recognition agreement be signed by the very important parties. That is that revised to work formula that should be signed before anything else. All right, so